It's 11:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're sitting in a gas station parking lot. Engine off, phone screen glowing in the dark. You check the numbers 3 times. You're going to check them again. The ticket in your hand says, you just won $224,000. You don't scream. You don't call anyone. You just sit there watching the number on the screen like it might change if you look away. It doesn't change. The watch on your wrist reads 11:17. You bought it with your first real paycheck 2 years ago, when you were 22 and believed that patience was a virtue. You don't know it yet. That watch is about to teach you the most expensive lesson of your life. The clock is already ticking. Chapter 1. The ticket. You're 24. You bought the ticket on impulse. $3 at the counter while you were paying for a Red Bull you didn't need. Americans spend approximately $104.7 billion on lottery tickets in a single year. That figure is from 2024, nearly double what was spent in 2008. Somewhere in that mountain of losing tickets, one of them was yours. And it won. The odds of hitting a Powerball jackpot are 1 in 292.2 million. You didn't hit the jackpot. You hit something smaller. Something that doesn't come with a press conference and a giant foam check. You won $224,000. Specific, real, yours. You sit in that parking lot for 11 minutes before you start the car. You drive home doing exactly the speed limit. You don't tell your roommate. You don't text your parents. You put the ticket in the pocket of a jacket hanging in your closet, the one you never wear. You lie down on your bed and stare at the ceiling. You feel something you won't be able to name for weeks. It isn't pure happiness. It isn't relief. It's closer to vertigo, like the floor just dropped 3 inches and you're still standing on it, waiting to fall. The watch on your nightstand reads 11:41. You don't sleep. Chapter 2. The number. That isn't the number. In the morning, you do what everyone does. You search. I won the lottery. What now? The first thing you learn is that the number on your ticket is not the number you're going to receive. The IRS automatically withholds 24% of lottery before you see a single dollar. On $224,000, that's $53,760 gone before you cash the check. But it doesn't stop there. Federal tax on lottery winnings can reach as high as 37%, depending on the size of the prize and your total income for the year. A $200,000 win dropped on top of your existing salary could push you into a higher bracket than you've ever been in. Then your state takes its share. 8 U.S. states don't tax lottery winnings at all. If you're in one of them, you exhale. If you're in Maryland, you owe over 8%. If you're in North Dakota, it's 2.9%. You spend an hour finding out which state you're in and recalculating on your phone's calculator. Over and over, watching the number shrink. You thought you won $224,000. You actually won somewhere between $130,000 and $160,000, depending on where you live and what your other income looks like this year. Brandon Renfro, a CFP, has said this plainly: large lottery wins are subject to that flat 24% withholding, but your actual liability could be higher. An advisor can help you navigate so that you aren't caught off guard. You're caught off guard, you stare at the new number. It's still life-changing money at 24. It's still more than your parents have in savings, but it isn't $224,000 anymore. That's the first thing the lottery teaches you. The number on the ticket is a lie. Chapter 3. The silence you can't keep. You tell your best friend on Thursday. You swore you wouldn't tell anyone. You'd read somewhere you should wait, but it's Thursday and you're eating lunch together, and they ask why you've been acting strange all week. You tell them. They go quiet for a second. Then they smile. Then they say, that's incredible, seriously. That's so amazing. And they mean it. You can tell they mean it, but something small shifts in the room that you can't name. and you'll spend the next 3 months trying to name it. By Sunday, your roommate knows. By the following Wednesday, your parents know. By the end of the month, an aunt you haven't spoken to since you were 14 sends you a long Facebook message saying she's been having a hard time, and she knows you'd want to help family. Sandra Hayes knows exactly what this feels like. In 2006, Hayes won the Missouri lottery, splitting $224 million with 12 coworkers. She went on to write a book about the experience. What she described wasn't triumph. What she described was the social pressure, the relatives who appeared, the friends who changed, the constant ambient expectation that your good fortune was now an obligation. She had millions. You have a fraction of that. The principle is identical. You stop answering the aunt's message. You feel guilty about it for weeks. That guilt costs you more than the money ever will. You don't know it yet. This is still the easy part. Chapter 4. The spending that feels like deserving. The money clears on a Tuesday. You watch the number appear in your bank account the way you watched your ticket numbers, like it might disappear if you blink. You wait 1 full week. You're proud of yourself for that. Then you buy a car. It's reasonable, you tell yourself. Your old one had 140,000 miles and a check engine light that had been on since spring. You spend $22,000 on something reliable and clean and newer than anything you've ever owned. You drive it home and it smells like vinyl and good decisions. Then you move to a better apartment. $400 more per month than your current one. You deserve it. You've been living in a place with a broken heater for 2 winters. This seems fair. Then your best friend's birthday comes around and you cover the whole dinner. 12 people. $800. You wave it off like it's nothing because right now it feels like nothing. You're not blowing money. You're not Sharon Tirabassi. You don't know who Sharon Tirabassi is yet, but you will. In 2004, Tirabassi won $10.5 million in a Canadian lottery. By 2013, she was riding a bus to her part-time job. Every dollar gone. Vacations, cars, houses, money handed to people who asked for it. The winnings dissolve the way a word dissolves when you say it too many times, slowly, until there's nothing left but the shape of it. You're not doing that. You know that. But you've spent $32,800 in 6 weeks without a plan, and the watch on your wrist is still ticking. That's the trade you didn't know you were making. Chapter 5. The advisor. You almost don't call. There's a version of you that never makes this call. That version puts the rest of the money in a savings account, earning 0.01%, and tells himself he'll figure it out eventually. That version of you exists. You've been living as him for 8 weeks, but you make the call. You'll think the advice is obvious. It isn't. The financial advisor sits across from you, or maybe it's a Zoom window, small and formal, and she asks you 3 questions before she talks about a single number. What do you want your life to look like in 10 years? Do you have any debt? And what are you most afraid of? The answer to the last question surprises you when it comes out of your mouth. You're afraid of ending up back where you started. Not broke exactly, just ordinary. Like this never happened. Lauren Wybar, a senior wealth executive at Vanguard, has said that winning is thrilling, but careful planning is essential to turn that excitement into lasting financial security. She recommends taking time to reflect on short and long-term goals before doing anything irreversible. You're sitting here doing exactly that, 6 weeks late, which is still earlier than most. The advisor tells you the thing no one tells young lottery winners. At 24, time is the most valuable asset you have. More valuable than the $224,000. More valuable than anything you could buy with it. A conservative 30% stock and 70% bond portfolio has historically returned around 6.56% annually over decades of real market data. If you take what's left of your after-tax winnings and leave most of it untouched, you won't just have what you won, you'll have multiples of it by the time you're 40. You leave the meeting and sit in your new car in the parking garage for a while. The watch on your wrist reads 3:22 p.m. You have a choice. Chapter 6. The Ones Who Didn't Make It. You make the mistake of searching their names on a Tuesday evening when you can't sleep. Billy Bob Harold Jr. won a large lottery jackpot, and within 2 years his marriage had dissolved, and he was gone. He told a financial advisor before he died that winning the lottery was the worst thing that ever happened to him. Keith Guff won the equivalent of nearly $11 million in the British lottery. 5 years later, he drank himself to death, alone and without money. You close your browser. You open it again. You close it again. These aren't just sad stories. They're data points in a pattern that researchers have tried to quantify for decades. The National Endowment for Financial Education has explicitly stated that the often cited figure that 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt is unverified and not supported by their research, despite being widely attributed to them. But more conservative estimates still exist. Analysis from Gatsby Investment in 2025 put the figure closer to 1 in 3 lottery winners declaring bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years of their win. 1 in 3. Those are not good odds. They're significantly worse than the odds of most things that keep you up at night. You're not Harold. You're not Guff. You made the advisor call. You haven't given everyone who asked for money the money. But you're 24, and the money is in your account, and the specific gravity of having it is heavier than you expected. You won't realize this for another several years. The danger was never that you'd blow it all at once. The danger was always that you'd bleed it slowly. $800 dinners, a nicer apartment, a weekend trip because you deserved a weekend trip, and then another one and another. The watch reads 1:04 a.m. You set it down on the nightstand. Chapter 7. The version of you that gets this right. There's a version of you that does this correctly. This is what they look like. They take the money and they do nothing with it for 30 days. 30 days where they tell almost no one, park it in a high-yield savings account, and read about tax strategy. They hire a fee-only financial advisor, someone who charges a flat fee, not a commission, because a commission-based advisor benefits from how they move your money. They invest the majority of the after-tax winnings into low-cost index funds. They keep 6 months of living expenses in cash. They pay off any high-interest debt they carry. They don't move apartments. They don't buy a new car on week 6. They treat the windfall the way researchers describe the small percentage of lottery winners who actually keep their wealth, as something to protect rather than spend. Mark Cuban, who has said a great deal about sudden money, encourages lottery winners toward annuity structures when available. You don't want to blow it all in one spot. At $224,000, a one-time payment is your only option. There's no annuity on a sub-jackpot win. But the philosophy transfers. You don't want to blow it all in one spot. You want to make the money work across time, across years, across compound returns that a 24-year-old can access more deeply than any 45-year-old who wins the same amount. In December 2025, a 20-year-old named Brenda Aubenvega won a $1 million Lotto Quebec lottery. She chose $1,000 per week for life over the lump sum. Her reasoning that the weekly payments felt safer, more reliable, and more stable than receiving everything at once sparked genuine debate online. Binance's founder argued she should have taken the lump sum and invested. Financial analysts ran the compound math. The conversation was real because the question is real. How do you not become a cautionary tale? You're 24. You have more time than most people who've ever held a winning ticket. That time is the answer to the question. Chapter 8. The Parking Lot. Revisited. It's 11:17 p.m. on a Tuesday, 14 months later. You're sitting in your car again. The same one, the $22,000 one, the only real impulsive purchase you made. In the parking lot of a different grocery store, in a different city, where you've taken a job that pays better than the one you had before. Not because you had to, because you wanted to. Because one thing nobody tells you about sudden money is that doing nothing, having no work, no structure, no reason to be somewhere at 9 a.m., is its own particular kind of erosion. The remaining after-tax winnings, minus the car, minus 2 months of living expenses you burned through before the advisor conversation, minus a dinner here and a weekend there. They're invested now. They're sitting in accounts you check less often than you thought you would, doing their slow, unspectacular work, compounding. You're not rich. You want to be clear about that, even just to yourself in this parking lot. You didn't win $10 million. You didn't win enough to stop working or buy a house outright or retire at 30. You won enough to build a foundation that most 24-year-olds don't have. You won time. That's what $130,000 invested at 24, left mostly untouched, actually is. It's time. The watch on your wrist reads 11:17 p.m. The same time as the night you sat in a different parking lot holding a ticket that changed the number in your bank account. The number changed. That was the easy part. What changed harder, slower, with more resistance than anything money can buy, was you. The way you understand a dollar now. The way you understand a year. The way you understand the difference between having something and keeping it. Somewhere right now, someone is standing at a gas station counter, sliding $3 across to a cashier, and taking a ticket they probably won't scratch until they get home. They have a choice they don't know they're making yet. So do you. The clock is already ticking. What will yours read? If this made you think about how you'd handle sudden money, there's another video right here on exactly that. The watch is waiting.